Well, welcome back to the 2001 Ford Explorer Sport Trac. Definitely has a problem in the front suspension. More prevalent on the driver's side than the passenger side, but I think both sides have an issue. So we're going to take a look, get it up off the ground a little bit, and see what we find, see what we need to replace. So first thing kind of clues us into something's going on. If you look at this outside block here, it's almost completely worn away. There's a little bit of tread left, but not much. It's significantly worse than the other side. The inside looks good, but we definitely have a problem here where it's just worn this outside away on this tire. Like I said, the passenger side has some of this, but not nearly as bad. So we're going to get this off the ground and see what we find out. We're just going to, I think there's a problem there. Yeah, let's say there's a slight problem there. Up and down feels good. Ball joints feel good. Tie rod end. I don't think that's a wheel bearing. Tie rod end. So let's get this wheel off. Let's get in and see what we have. There's obviously a lot of movement there. I don't see, and I didn't see before, any movement out here. Movements on the inside. So I have a feeling that inner tie rod's bad. Whether this is bad, I don't know. I'm going to break it loose. We're going to take the rotor and the caliper off of this just to get them out of the way, make it easier. Break this ball joint loose. Break this, tie rod end loose, and we'll get a better feel for it that way, and we'll see what we got going on. There we go. Set that aside. Just the way it came off. Goes like that. A little easier to see that now. Alright. Get in here with the cutter and grab this right out of there. Alright, I think that's 19. That's my guess. And I guessed wrong. It's not 19. It's bigger. 21 maybe. I don't know. 21 on this case. All right, let's see if we can break it loose. We don't put a tool on it, but hit what it goes through. Yep. There we go. Now, hear it? You should be able to hear that. It's moving. Probably a good 1/8 of an inch. Inner tie rod's bad. So we're going to replace that for sure. That's bad. I didn't get any play out of the upper or lower ball joint. Top's greasable. Is the bottom greasable as well? Bottom is not greasable. Can't grease that one. There's no grease fitting on it. I'm going to leave it alone because I didn't have any play in them. With this this tie rod end, yeah, that's definitely bad. It's pretty cooked. So let me put that back in there. Temporarily, I want to break this nut loose here. These can be a pain sometimes. Sometimes it can be a real pain. I don't know how big that is. 22 maybe? I'm guessing. I'm going to guess 22. Alright, get on the flat there. Let's see if I can break this loose. I like to usually get them like that so you can just squeeze them. And there it goes. Came loose. Sometimes they can be really, really difficult. See how many turns we have. Don't forget how many turns it is. You want to get it back close to where it was. You're going to have to get an alignment done Anytime you touch this stuff in the suspension, you need to do an alignment for sure. Let's see what we got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Place the end links as well. So I'm going to just do that first. I'm going to cut them. You can try to get these undone. I never bother because they always kind of hang up and cause problems. So cut them off. All right, switch blades and cut it from the other side. You'll never get this sleeve off. That's the issue. You try to undo these. This sleeve, these metal sleeves, they never come apart. Ever. So you're better off not even messing with them and just cutting them off. So I'm going to cut this bottom one off. Trying to stay away from the camera. You can see that, how it's basically one piece, just corrodes together. Just chop it off. I'm going to try to get them apart. Well, unless you live somewhere where there's no rust. But not here. Alright, so that's just out of the way. Obviously this didn't come apart yet, so let me get the top half of this apart and see if it's just going to come apart or just going to give me grief. We'll see. No, I think it's going to come apart, I think. Alright. Now it's out of the way. This collar's got to come off. Let's get that off of there. Let's see if I can get it with a pair of needle nose. If not, I'll get it with a... There we go. Need that for the new one. Save that. Now, I'll show you this. Hopefully, pick it up and show you where this is in the back there on the inside edge of that boot. Get my head out of the way here. I'm fighting for space. Is a clamp. This one's actually been done. It looks like it's got. Actually, this one has cable ties on it. So there's usually a metal clamp. It sticks up a little bit. You stick a screwdriver in there, a small one at first. Kind of twist it around, open that up a little bit, and get a bigger one in there. And usually they'll come apart. This one's a little hard to get to on this particular vehicle. But usually you can get them apart without too much problem. Break them off or something, push them out of the way, or I don't know. Okay, I know you can't see them. Just I see the ends of the cable ties in there. Just trying to get a screwdriver on. Push them all the way. I broke one. There's one broken. Probably been in there a while. Probably a little brittle. They do work though. There we go. I think I got. No, I didn't get that one. This is the fun part. Sneaking in here and I know you can't see this, but all I'm just trying to do is get the cable tie off of the end. Get it loose. Get the boot loose. There it goes. Broken both. Now, once that's off, pull the boot out. It's full of grease. I'm just going to show you this right up front near the beginning because here's the new boot that I had to get because I forgot to do something. And that is, when this comes out, before you pull that boot off, you've got to go in underneath the edge of the boot, end of the boot, with a small bladed screwdriver and make sure it's loose. I know that, and I just forgot to do it. When I pulled the boot, it ripped the boot. Now the boot's no good. You see that? There's the rest of the boot, right? So I had to buy a whole new boot. Amateur day. I know better, I just forgot. To make a inner tie rod tool for this, I have it. I don't use it most of the time though. If this is out far enough, you can get a pipe wrench on it. I use that, but I have another tool which I'll show you, which I use. But if you don't have any of them, you can usually go to an auto parts store and they'll give you a loaner inner tie rod tool. And as long as it has a flats on the back, and this one does, then you can get a tool on there. If it's round, like this one must have been replaced. OEM Fords, generally, they're round without the hex on the back from what I've seen. And that means you're not going to get a tie rod tool. You have to get something on there. And this is, I'll show you what I use. You find it here, I put it down, brought it with me. No, I did. I use this tool, about 15 bucks probably, I think. I'll try to remember to put a link to it down in the comments. Hopefully you can see that. But what you want to do is just slide it over the end and get it in a position like this around the end of it. Hopefully, yeah, like that. And then we put a long half-inch extension on it so you can get some torque on it. Get it in a position where you can turn it. I like it up here, so it's just about on the side. Then get a half-inch ratchet or breaker bar and use that to break it loose. Let's see if I can do this without too much problem. It has a cam in it. Will grab. Might have to get a breaker bar for this. I don't want to smack myself in the face. Get in a better position here. It's a little tight. There it is. So it's loose. They're usually not too bad. If you can get a grip on them, they usually come loose pretty easily. That wasn't too bad. Get the cam to let go, and I can shake it off. So there's a cam in here. Hopefully you can see this. It just pivots out like that and grabs the edge of the tie rod joint and pulls it out of there. And we're just going to unscrew it. A little messy. Not much grease left in it. It's kind of all melted out. So it's not good to see, but there we go. That's it. That's all there is to it. This is shot. No good. No good at all. So that's where those cable ties were around this, which goes around the end of the bracket pinion and just squeeze it. It's just a dust boot, keeps the garbage out of it. So we want to make sure we put it back on there. And if you don't have the tool, and I don't have the tool for the metal bands, usually the cable ties will work. Right in here, there's a line, and on the boot, see that? There's a little, that fits over that line. You have to put that on there. So make sure when you put it back in, you line that pipe, the little pipe up there, and get it back in that hole. Get the new one here. As I said, I do have some Loctite on that. Let's start threading it on here. Hopefully you can see that. Try to give you some decent light here. It's difficult. That's flush now. There's torque spec on this. I'm not going to tell you what it is because it varies all the time. So look it up for yours. See what it is. And torque it accordingly. In order to torque it, I'm going to use the same tool that I used to take it off. Along with a torque wrench. Put it on the other way this time. Push this guy away. All right. Let me get my torque wrench. Just to grab it. There we go. That's it. On and good to go. There we go. There's a tube in there. It balances both sides. That's what this is for, right here. You've got to get that tube in the boot, in this boot, in the right place. So it's going to be hard to show it, but I'm going to slide this over, line that up, push it onto that, make sure it gets on there all the way. You can get under the front and look in to make sure that you got it on the way, all the way on. And then I have a cable tie in there, which I need to move, I think. So So I want it down near the bottom where I can get at it. I think I can reach in there and get a long pair of needle nose, and probably my best shot at getting that. So I'm gonna just line this up. And I gotta reach in there with my hand. You're not gonna be able to see this. I'm gonna reach in the front and grab that crossover tube and line it up in my boot here. Make sure it goes in the right place. Just be careful with this. You may want to silicone this a little bit as you slide it on. If not, be careful with it. There's a little groove on the new arm. It sits right in that groove. I've got to check my vent again. Yes, I actually got it in there. I think I might have. Yeah, I think I did. Yes, I did. Good. I've got to reach in here. Now I've got to get my boot aligned over the end of my rack and pinion. I've got that tube on. I don't have the whole boot on to the rack and pinion yet, so I got to do that too. I'll try to show you this, but you're looking in my mirror, and you can see in the mirror the tube, and you can see how it's going into that, the crossover. It's the vent, I believe that's what it is, for the rack and pinion, and it's going into the hole on the side of the boot for the rack and pinion. It's got to be in there. So that's actually, you're looking at it backwards because you're looking in the mirror, but that's what it'll look like. It's hard to see it, but it's in place. I'm going to make sure it's pushed all the way on the rack and pinion, and I'm going to tighten that cable tie so no dirt or moisture can get in there. All right, inside's in. My vent tube is hooked up correctly. Just checking it one last time, but it's in there correctly. I'm all the way on the rack and pinion, so it's sealed up. Got my cable tie pulled tight. This has a little groove in it, a little indent, kind of where this end of this sits. We're going to take our clamp. We're going to put our clamp back on there. Hopefully without snapping it off here 5 or 6 times. Come on. It doesn't want to go on there. See if this, there it goes. Make sure it's pushed into that groove, into that indent, and let go of the clamp. Now it's sealed up. That's what we want. Now I've got to put the outer tie rod end on. After, don't forget the nut. New nut for that. Let me go get it. It's not the new one, that's the old one. New one. Spin it on there first, don't forget, or you'll have to do it twice. Turn it 19 revolutions coming off. We'll do 19 going back on. You will have to do an alignment. You have to get it checked when you're done with this. And we'll go and get it checked. All right. 1, 2, 3. Spin the nut down. We're going to line this up, put it in, and then we'll spin the nut down. Actually tighten it up. Started. There we go. Castle nut on there. I will torque that, but I'm not telling you what it is. Go look it up because it's different. It can be different for a lot of different vehicles. Where's my hole? I like to see where my cotter pin hole is first. It's right there. It's facing right at the camera just about, so I know where it is. All right. Now, tighten this jam nut down. You do have something to get a hold of there on the inner tie rod end. So you can get 2 wrenches on it. Let me get my wrenches here. I'll just use a crescent wrench right here to hold it. And 2mm, tighten that down. As I hold the inner tie rod, let me get a better position here. Okay, you don't have to crush it, but you do have to tighten it. Should be it. It's not very tight on this one. Alright, so the holes, I got to go a little more to get to the hole. Alright, should be able to put a cotter pin in it now, I think. When I do this, I like to put this end away from the joint so I can just peel it down and around the nut. See if I can get it from the other side here. Yep. So the long end down. That's the way I like to do them. Just you just grab them like that. It makes it easier to just wrap it right around like that. Okay, that's it. We're gonna go. I gotta do my end link, which I have here somewhere. A little bonus. The end links were bad. I might as well do that too. I'm just gonna start this from underneath. Can you see this even? I don't know. Can you even see it? Yeah, you can. So, actually the bushings always go against the metal, against the frame. So I've got one at the bottom. They do have washers for each one of them. This one already has one in it. So we'll put that on. Let that drop down. Put our spacer on there. And then we'll get another one here. And get it started. Or try to get it started. This is usually the hard part. This is usually where it's a little difficult. This one, I've seen worse. I'll just say that. Alright. Actually, this one's not bad at all. Can line it up. The top one on here. The spacer for that is built in to this. It's kind of nice, actually, the way it works. It's threaded. If I can get it to start. There it goes. Hopefully you can see the top. I don't know what you're saying. That's pretty much it. I'm going to put the rest of I'm going to clean this hub just before I put this back on and put the brakes all back together. Rotor back on, caliper back on, dust shield. What I will say is there's an opening in the dust shield. Let me find it here, show you. Right here. Goes like this, and it's pretty tight. I don't like how tight it is. I'm gonna take some off of here a little bit, maybe a 1/4 inch around this part. So I don't hit this. I don't like how tight it is. I saw that when I took the other tie rod end off, that it was actually cut the boot because it was so tight to it. So I'm actually going to take a little bit off. It's not going to hurt anything, but it's just going to keep it from hitting this. I don't know that it will, but it's very close. So I'll do that, put everything back together. Well, that's it for inner and outer tie rod ends and sway bar end links for the 2001 Explorer Sport Trac. I can't remember what the car was. I finished putting the brakes back on, put them all back together, tighten everything up. You do need to get an alignment done after you do this. You can put it close, count the number of revolutions, you can take that outer tie rod end off, but you do need to get alignment done. I'll do that. If you need to do this for your car, I hope it helps you out. If you like the video, subscribe below. Thanks for watching.